What's up, and welcome back to Opposites Attract Podcast. This is Sonia Ramirez, your girl, and I'm sitting next to
Miguel Ramirez.
What's up, everybody? How is your day?
How is your week?
How is your life?
Going.
Can you turn me up a little bit?
And now you want me to turn you up?
I want you to turn me up. Okay.
And before we do anything else, make sure you guys go to our website, oppositesattractpodcast.com. Let us know if it's working. See if it works for you. Sign up for our resource list. It'll be the first thing that pops up. It'll help us stay in touch with you guys. But when you go to our website, you'll see all the ways that you can follow us. You can follow us at Opposite Pod. I was about to say Fight Life Pod. That's my other podcast. You can follow us at Opposite Pod on all the different social medias, or just search Opposites Attract Podcast.
Are we doing the advertisements right now?
The best thing you can do is share this with somebody else. Thanks.
Yay.
How'd you doing?
What's up, love? I know.
Nothing?
I feel like we haven't really talked today since you got home, because I was busy putting the retreat, like getting everything together and not really finalizing, but just like I have all the topics, but just kind of like really diving deep into them and allowing myself to visualize and get into that space.
Yeah, get into the details of like what they're going to be, what you're going to do.
Right. Yeah.
Nice.
This time around, I'm recognizing that I feel a little more nervous this time around. And it's because I realized, because I was sitting in this, like, what is wrong? Where is this anxiety coming from? Why are you feeling this way?
Yeah.
Right? Because the first one, I was like excited. Like I was so confident, like with everything. And this one, I realized that the anxiety came from the last retreat. I had 2 other coaches that were with me that were healers as well. Yeah. Right? That worked on trauma. Yeah. This time around, it's me. Like, it is me. Yeah. And I had to
you have
take
a couple people helping,
it.
But they're not like coaches, are they?
One's a yogi. She does yoga. You know, she does some sound healing, and I have breath work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I am the one that is taking charge with all the healing, right? With all the trauma, with all the limited beliefs, with all of that.
You're not like sharing the expertise.
Right.
You're all right. You're good, babe.
And I like, okay, yes, right? Like, yes, but it's stepping into that knowing.
Yeah.
Right? And not because at first I was running from it. Like, I didn't like the way it felt. So I was just not allowing myself to feel it until today. I'm like, okay, you're going to sit your ass and you're going to allow yourself to feel what you're feeling, and you're going to question where this is coming from.
Yeah.
And so I sat with it and realized where it was coming from. And then after I realized where it was coming from, I had to step into the I am. Like, this is what you do. I had to remind myself. You weren't here. So I had to remind myself who I am.
I am.
Right. And then this morning, because I've been putting myself in these uncomfortable positions, which used to be very comfortable for me, by the way. BNI, like networking, I love that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm really good at that stuff.
That's the thing. It's just like working out. Anything that you don't do on a regular basis is going to be uncomfortable again.
Right.
When you start.
Yes. So, just stepping into that and
you know what? I was just having that thought about something like that, but in a completely different avenue. I was thinking about my work. Like 4 years ago, a little bit over 4 years ago, I got a new job where I'm visiting companies and doing audits and stuff like that. But before that, I used to work on helicopters, right? Like actually physically on the helicopter, inspecting the work that people are doing and stuff like that. And I was thinking today, like if I had to go back right now to that, I wouldn't be as comfortable as I was.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't because I haven't done it in over 4 years.
Right.
And it would take me time to like sit, and I would really have to like look at the blueprints, look at the drawings, look at the instructions, read it over and over, get comfortable with it again. And it's going to take me some time.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, today when I realized that, like I'm sitting there this is a second BNI group, by the way. It's not the one that I went to last week. This is a new one. And our neighbor invited us to attend. And I didn't know anyone at this BNI. At the other BNI, I knew at least 4 individuals, right? And this one, I knew nobody.
Yeah.
But also, it's also stepping into who I am today. Because back then, when I was networking, I was different. Like I showed up different, right?
You did something
I was marketing different. But the way, and I know that, sometimes the way we dress is, I even dress different.
Yeah. You wear beads now.
Normally, like I'm suited with high heels on.
Yeah.
And it's like, when I walk in, oh, this chick means business. And that's not, it's just such a different, for me, it's just, I'm in such a different place.
Dude, these are all just fucking costumes.
I know.
So we don't show our dicks and tits. Like that's all it is.
But it's releasing and letting go of that identity.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
Releasing and letting go of that identity.
I mean, you have a different feeling if you're wearing a suit and you're walking down. Look at me, I'm a fucking badass.
And I did feel that way. I was that. And now it's more like
that's an ego thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I had a lot of that. And shedding that and then walking in this is me. Like, this is who I am. There's no mask that I wear to get a sale because I'm not there to get a sale. It's different for me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
But it was a really cool awareness of how I felt uncomfortable, right? It was just new. Like, it's all new. Even though, I've been to these BNI groups and I've done these networking events, it's just all new again.
Yeah. Yep. It's going to take a little time for you to get comfortable. And, you just started working out again, too. So and that's just what it is.
Yeah, I was doing yoga, but that's different.
Yeah.
Than
no, how do you feel walking up the stairs?
And shut up.
Right? Yeah. Well, no, I'm doing great. I got to crawl up the stairs, but besides that, I'm fine.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah.
So you just got to give it some time, stay consistent with it. You don't have to kill yourself on the first day. Yeah. Because that's like if I was to go back to my old job, that's the other thing. I was way faster when I left there, right? I could take a bunch of jobs, look at a bunch of jobs, be like, yeah, that looks good. This looks good. Let's sign that off, sign this off, sign that off. And I'm confident with everything that I'm doing.
Yeah.
If I was to go back today, it'd be like, let me take one job and I'm going to take some time on this one. Yeah, it's going to take me longer, but I got to develop that confidence again.
Right.
And I got to be consistent with it.
Yeah. And it's the same thing with the retreats.
Yeah.
Right? It's continuing to do the thing that makes you feel uncomfortable.
And leaning into it when you get those feelings.
Oh, yes. Yes. And it's, I know for me, it's a bit, I understand how my clients feel.
What do you mean?
When they avoid leaning into the discomfort, leaning into the pain, because nobody wants to feel that. Like, who wants to feel that? But it's there, regardless of how you're covering it up. Meaning whatever you're using to numb yourself. We've talked about this before, whether it's alcohol, whether it's working out, like overly working out, or sex, whatever. What is it that you're covering that up with?
Yeah.
And get down to it, because that's the only way you process and that's the only way you heal, is by going through it, allowing yourself to feel it, sit with it, journal. That's really good too. That's something else that helps me, is really sitting down and why am I feeling this, and digging
and getting fed up.
Mm-hmm.
Getting fed up with just doing the same shit over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Taking 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. you know?
Yeah. But it's part of growth. Like it's part of growing.
Yeah.
And every time there's change or a transition, we will go through this. You will continue to go through this. Continue. No matter where you're at in your life, there's always something that's going to change. You talk about it, like getting comfortable with change. Just getting comfortable with that.
Yeah. What's the point?
Of what? Of
all
growth?
This shit. Of all, like, having to do things like all the fucking time. What's the point? Like at the, you know, like when you understand like what's important and like what's the point,
right,
of spending all this time like doing this and then having to go back and falling off the train and then getting back on it and all this back and forth all the fucking time.
Well,
you know,
because it's because of the continued growth. Right?
Yes.
It's because of the continued growth, because you're sitting in something that used to make you happy. Say it's a job and you loved that job at one point, but you've been working on yourself. You've been growing, right?
Yeah.
And now that job that you used to love is no longer bringing that joy into your heart. Because there's something else. There's something else for you.
You need to grow.
Right. So then you will get that feeling like that, that ugly, like just unhappiness with your job. You're just every morning, you're, you know, dragging yourself out of bed and you're sitting in this and you're getting stressed and depressed and you're just sitting in this because you're just not willing to take the leap. Because you're so scared of what's on the other side of that. Because you've been doing this for 20 years.
And because it's going to be uncomfortable.
And it's going to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I was just talking to a gentleman today that I met at the BNI group, who I was supposed to meet today. That's why I went to the BNI group. It was really cool. And he works on Windows, right? And when I stood up, I talked about, you know, being an intuitive spiritual coach, what I do, blah, blah, my 20 seconds. And at the end, I said, I also host women's retreats. Mm-hmm. So that at the end of everything, he came up to me because he is a chef for men's retreats.
Oh.
But it's not just like men's retreats. These retreats that he attends are actually very similar to what the retreats I host.
Wow. Okay.
So they're breath work, like they're getting into the trauma, into the pain, and it's all, you know, for like men. And so he was talking about this.
I'm gonna start my retreats
and
where we work our trauma by fucking beating the shit out of each other in a really nice place.
And he was I can feel he was just lit, like talking about, he's like, this is what I do on the side. I don't really talk about it. This is just something that I got into accidentally. And he started talking about his experience and everything. And I'm witnessing this man just light up.
Yeah.
Like fully light up. And I'm like, when are you going to take the leap? And he looked at me. I said,
good.
I told him, you know what I'm talking about.
Do it. Pick a date.
And I'm like, I know it's uncomfortable.
That's what you should have said. You should have said, what's the date? What month?
Right. I got his number. We exchanged cards. And that's his, I can see it.
That's awesome.
Like this is, and he knows it. Like this is your path. And he feels it and he knows it. But it's like, it's scary. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah. You see, and I think it's like when you're doing, like if you have a job, kind of like you were saying before, you'll get to a point, if you're not, I think if you're working in your purpose, when you find that, when that's what you're doing, it's kind of hard to say. Because a lot of times people say, kind of like actors or whatever, like you get really good at something or you're a funny actor. Well, if you're a funny actor, then you can't be a dramatic actor. You're known as the funny guy. You're known as this. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of people, you know, Jamie Foxx is a freaking Awesome example. Dude is a comedian, like a funny ass comedian. He's a Grammy winning singer. And I think he's also got an Oscar for movies and stuff. You know, so it's like, who's going to tell Jamie Foxx that you can't do something else?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people feel like this is your box. This is what you stay in, right? But when you're working on your purpose, like you don't have to stray from that. I mean, I guess you can do other things on the side, but your purpose will be your main source of fulfillment. Like you're going to keep working on that. You're going to keep growing in that. But when you have a job and that's all you're doing, eventually you're going to get to a point in that where you've grown. And then it's like, well, like, do I do, if that's how you are, not everybody's that way. But you'll get to a point where like, okay, so I've been doing this for a little while now and I've got a bunch of experience and I've learned how to do just about most of the things around here. Like, where do I go from here? Where do I challenge myself next? You know, and that book, Man's Search for Meaning, that's like when I was saying, what's the point? And what you said is like, is growth, and that could be in your job. But like I said, once you grow to a certain point, you're going to have to find something else because that may not be your passion. And you'll still be fulfilled because you're still growing, but you're going to have to keep finding shit to get better at.
Yeah.
But when you find your passion, that's when it's all combined together, fulfilling.
Yes. Imagine if there were only employees.
What do you mean?
Well, I guess that was the wrong question. You and I have talked about this before. And this is an exercise that I've been working on. There's a book I'm reading called The Way of Mastering. And there is an activity that we do every day, which is being present with everything around you and knowing that someone invented that.
Yeah.
Like we dream. So I had wrote this down from a while back. We dream all the time, even when we are awake. Our entire world was made up of dreamers. The planet is a collective dreams of billions of smaller dreams or personal dreams, which together created a dream of a family, a dream of a community, a dream of a city.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it is. That is pretty crazy. Everything was invented. Everything was created by us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just about.
Right.
I mean, no, not just about. There's a lot more that was not created by us. Like the rest of the earth and the planets and all that.
Right.
I wonder who did that. A lot of guys, a lot of people know. A lot of people think they know.
Do you think living would be easier if we lived with our eyes closed?
That'd be a good question for our friend. With our eyes closed, like
just unaware,
without being able to see.
Just unaware.
Wait, like stuck in the Matrix?
Yes, on autopilot. Just
that is that dichotomy. The ignorance is bliss. The fucking wake up, go to work, numb yourself, and you just don't even know any different. Like if you don't know, then this is just what life is.
That makes me feel really sad.
Yeah.
But I can tell you this. It is work. Straight up. The more you become aware, the higher your consciousness gets. It's work. It's work. It is work. And though it is difficult at times, it's very rewarding, but it's work. And it's constant being aware, constant picking yourself up, constant tracking your thoughts, knowing these thoughts, what they're creating. It is work.
Yeah.
right? Like bliss, it is work.
It is.
And at times you feel unsure. There's times where you're confused, or it's just too much to even think about and your brain gets fried, you know? And it's like,
no, there's a lot. It's a lot.
Yes.
Bitch, that's a lot.
And sometimes
inside joke. I wasn't calling Sonja that.
You just, oh yeah. Cause I just
Bitch,
ignored you cause I'm on it right now. So I ignored what he said.
It's a lot to deal with. It's a lot to process.
That's what I was going to say. And sometimes you just got to stop seeking.
You were talking about that last week.
Like even like now, because I am very eager to get to that higher consciousness, the higher, like I'm very eager. So I watch a lot of things. I'm reading a lot of things, and it gets me into a space where I'm just overwhelmed and I have to unplug.
Yeah.
Like unplug, because it's just so much.
Yeah. You know, last week or earlier in the week, I had sent you a couple videos and we watched them together. And I can't remember exactly what the videos were talking about. Maybe you can like help me remember. But it was about like people that contemplate a lot of stuff, like that think about where do we come from? Like, why are some people this way and other people that way? Why are cultures different? Why do we look different? Why, like, just like why, right. why,
yeah.
you know? Mm-hmm. And you contemplate like all the problems in the world. You take in all the problems in the world, the way people treat each other, you know, and
what's happening in the world.
And there was something that I kind of came across when we were watching those videos, and it was about deep thinkers, you know, like people that think about all these things. And I was just thinking about like when people that think that about these things, like you were saying, you cannot avoid getting sad.
Right.
You just can't. Mm-hmm. You can't avoid getting sad when you see what happens to people in Africa that don't have water, that get treated differently because they're from a different tribe or whatever.
Right.
Like there's so many things that we just don't even know about that are like injustices. Like if somebody was to like download all the bad shit that people do to your head, your fucking head would explode. Right? There's so much shit that you don't find out about. And then in the future, you're like, oh shit, like there's these people and that happens to them. And then you find out what's happening, you know, with the wars in, you know, in Europe and in the Middle East and like everywhere. You just can't avoid getting sad by these things. And I think that when you are somebody that thinks about this stuff more than anybody, you have to know how to get into the present moment.
Yes. And gratitude is
and that
huge.
Is why, because once you can get yourself into that present moment, that is what you need. Like the gratitude to shift all of that. Because it can get dark.
Yes. And for me, I especially right now, I can't, like, you know, and I'm learning at this point to observe and not absorb. We've, you know, talked about that. But my sensitivity to things, it's just, yeah.
You know, like,
and I'm learning. I see it. I'm learning. And
it's not something like, it's something that you have to like literally pay attention to. Like I've been looking at this stuff for a while. It's like, I need to look at something else.
Right.
I need to look at something else. Something that's going to put a fucking smile on my face.
Right.
I need to look at some puppies.
Like the little cartoons I
need to fucking look at
you.
some cats or some shit. Like something. Like I cannot watch this anymore.
Yeah.
And you have to, like that, the gratitude, like being in the moment will help you get into that gratitude zone, and then you have to like maintain that, you know, because you have to be able to switch the way you feel.
It's a slippery slope.
And you know, one thing that I was going to say is like a few weeks ago, we were talking about your experience with DMT and with Bufo and all that. And that is like one of the things that would worry me the most about that. Mm-hmm. Because I know like I'm pretty strong with my mind, mm-hmm. my thoughts, my like everything. Like I don't know. But it does go to dark places. And these dark places are real. Like verified. Do you know what I mean? Like I know the things that people do and the things that are happening. And if I'm not in control and I go down some dark fucking hole in my mind, that kind of scares me. You know what I mean? Because from what you were telling me, you have zero, like you're gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But it doesn't take you, it's more, I mean, I guess, I don't know. I can only share with me or, you know, my experience of it, but
you know, because sometimes don't these things like, sometimes it's like there's things that are in my head that aren't at the front of my head mm-hmm. that affect me. That, you know, and it's like if something fucking comes up, like I don't want.
But normally it's like the ego, like the death
that
of the
type of
ego.
stuff.
Yeah, not like what you're thinking. It's more the death of the ego, like showing you
yourself and who you are and all of that.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I'm good. I don't need that anyway.
Yeah, and you know, like for me, because I don't know. Yeah, of where I'm at. And I had a really good experience. I don't know, like if I would do it again because I don't want to run to it. And this is the thing, like as you just said, you're very strong, right? When it comes to certain things. Like, I don't think we have an addictive personality, right? Like I just quit drinking, just decided it's not for me. Stopped. Yeah. Right? Coffee too. Like whatever. I told God he needs to take sugar away from me.
Good luck.
Sugar's next. Good luck. And but because it's a good feeling and it's a spiritual like feeling. Oh, yeah. That makes me question. You know what I'm saying? Because I like that, the spiritual connection. And because I'm so eager to become that, I can do it on my own and it is going to take me longer, or I can take a shortcut. I don't know yet. Like, I don't know. I need to talk to someone who...
There's something that you just said. Did you catch it?
The shortcut.
No, before that.
What?
Something about becoming that. What are you trying to become?
Higher consciousness. It's where I am divinely connected to me. Like,
where every time that you come to this point, mm-hmm. where from anybody that you've ever talked to mm-hmm. and any experience that you've ever had, mm-hmm. where does it end up pointing to?
God. Jesus. Is that what you're talking about? Is that what you're trying to talk about?
That's what it ends up pointing to?
Okay. So I don't understand the question.
This level, right? These levels of spirituality. Yes. There's this level that you said that you want to become, right?
So
there's people that you feel have achieved these levels that you've talked to maybe, or that have more experience, or that are on a higher level than you are.
Right.
Every time that you've had an experience mm-hmm. where you feel you're on a different level, mm-hmm. like the bufo, right? Mm-hmm. Or you talk to somebody that you feel is on a different level, mm-hmm. where do you get pointed to? When you're trying to find these levels, where do they point you to?
Me. I am.
There is nothing else.
We are spiritual beings having a human experience. Is that what I feel? And the higher consciousness, you tap into that soul, spirit.
I guess. Okay.
And that's what I'm referring to. And
all I can tell you, I don't know. I really don't like doing that, but I mean, I've told you a lot of things in the past that end up coming around. Look, I've told you a lot of things in the past that you end up eventually coming around to, mm-hmm. in all kinds of stuff. Mm-hmm. If you don't think about this in a different way, you're going to be searching for a long time. I may be wrong, because there's shit that's just unanswerable. Mm-hmm. And consciousness is unanswerable. The universe is unanswerable. But you want there to be more.
There is more. I've experienced it. Okay. And you know that. There are things that are unexplained that I have experienced.
Right. Yeah. And that's where the beliefs will never change. Right? It just is.
Yeah.
That's okay. So make sure you guys go to our website.
Do you get uncomfortable when there's silence?
No, I don't. Okay. Whatever. Give a shit. We could do a 1 hour quiet fucking Yin Yang Twins whisper song podcast. Make sure you guys go to our website.
Oh, I was gonna sing a different a different song. Where did we see my?
Hey, we might go to a Yin Yang Twins concert because we're old now, and I think that's like the oldies throwback tour that's coming around. But anyway, make sure you guys go to our website, oppositesattractpodcast.com. Like I said before, if you guys go to our website, you'll see all the ways that you can support us, that you can follow us, that you can find the podcast, watch the podcast. You can watch it on Facebook and YouTube. You can listen to it everywhere. And if you guys want to support the show, you guys can go to the support the show link on our website, and that'll take you to our Amazon link. And anything that you purchase through that link doesn't cost you anything extra, but it helps out the show. We'll get a little kickback when you guys shop through our link. And we really appreciate it. And another way that you guys can help the show is?
You can go to buymeacoffee.com/oppositepod. I can't talk right now. And subscribe or buy us a virtual drink. And you can subscribe to that on a monthly basis as well.
There you go. And if you guys want to help us grow the podcast, share this with somebody else. Share the Clips channel with somebody else. We've been making a bunch of clips. I don't know if you guys have seen the new thumbbans and titles that we've been working on.
It seems
like it's making an impact. Thank you, BNS, for all the advice and his help. But yeah, check out the new clips. Find one that you like and share it with somebody else. Tell them that the show is out there and to subscribe and all that. And we really appreciate it.
All that good stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, what's up? You got something?
What were you going to say? I was going to talk about Audrey, but.
Well, actually, I was going to talk about the kids too, because there was something that I had just talked to you about recently, mm-hmm. When it comes to the kids. And over the years, our perspectives, like we've been talking about, have changed drastically. I'm talking about like drastically, like the world view and how we see politics, religion, countries, like just everything has just completely changed, right?
Right.
We've been made aware of all these different games that we play. Whether it's go to school, finish elementary school, go to junior high, go to high school, go to college, get a job, retire, or invest your money, do this and do this and do that, or like all these different ways that people do their thing. Mm-hmm. And like what we were just talking about a minute ago, like, what's the point? What's the point? What are we doing this for? You know, and then when you really understand, like, this is it, you got one shot at it. It's not really about, like, life's not about your freaking career, unless that's your passion and that's something that you do and, like, that's what you feel deeply, then go for it. But a lot of times people are just fucking working a job, like, every day. They don't even fucking want to be there.
Right.
They're just wasting their life away, just waiting for the fucking day to end so that they can get to the next day, and waiting for that day to end so they can get to the weekend. Then Monday starts and fuck this, I want the weekend to come again. And you're just, before you know it, you're fucking 70. So, like, I've been having these thoughts about our kids and the world, and I don't want to fucking play any of these games. They don't have to play the games that everybody else is playing. You don't have to get out when you're 18. You don't have to do any of that shit. We will figure it out together. Like I've talked about before, like we've talked about. So it's like, then what conversations do we have with the kids? And it's like, you know what? We need to have the important ones with them. Like, what makes you happy? Mm-hmm. What do you love? What are you passionate about? If you could do anything in the world, what would that be? How can we get that to be what you do for a living? How do you grow that? Like, just getting their freaking wheels turning, asking them questions. Where does that come from? How can we make this happen? Like, just having those important conversations. Like, what do you think the world is about? Like, talking about situations that are happening in the world now that they're getting older, sharing stuff with them. Look, this is happening. People are being tricked. Just so that you're aware, so that you can't be tricked in the future. Look at the good thing that these people are doing. That's pretty amazing. Maybe we could do something like that. Maybe that'll give them an idea to do something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But just having those important conversations with them.
And leaving our bias out of it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because we are their parents, and as we know, and what we've experienced is the conditioning with the way we were raised, or the way we were taught.
What would be the difference between bias and advice?
That's hard, because if you give them advice and you have a bias about the topic you're talking about, then you're going to give them that advice with the bias behind it, right?
I think if you have a bias, there's going to be things that you just can't explain. There's not going to be a reason for why you feel the way you feel, because you have a bias, right? You should be able to explain why you feel that, or why you say that. So I think advice, like just regular advice that's not biased, could be factually backed up. Because if my son wants to come to me and says he wants to join the military, my bias would be that the Air Force would be the best branch. Right?
Right.
Now, it all depends. It all depends on what he wants to do. Is he worried about quality of life? Is he focused more on his career or what he's going to do afterwards? Is he focused more on being patriotic? Like, I don't know. But we can break down the differences between each of the branches, pros and cons, and see which is which.
Right.
Right? And then if it turns out that the Air Force has the most pros, is that bias?
Right.
If everything that I'm talking to you about is backed up by some type of research or some type of study, is that bias? Or is it just true? Some things just are. You know? What's up, yo? You wanna say something?
Yeah.
Were you processing?
Yeah. Live processing.
Well, something else I wanted to get into was speaking. I don't mean to turn this in a different direction, but there is a lot of stuff that is happening out there that we've talked about. And like we mentioned on the last podcast, I don't see how any loving God, if we are all his children, how could there be division between any of us? Right? Mm-hmm. Like I don't see how a God could, and I know I don't have a God brain, and there's just things that I just couldn't understand because I'm not God. But when you...
Is that what someone who's religious?
Yeah, okay. We just couldn't possibly get it because we're not God. We don't know what his plans are. And he's so much on a different level that we just couldn't possibly understand why there's the war in the Middle East or why bad... like that is the scapegoat for like when bad shit happens to good people. We just couldn't possibly know what his plans are. It's all part of the plan, But when you see things the way I see them, how we all came from different places and there's reasons why we look different, but we're basically all the same people, right? You trace us back, we all ended up coming from the same place. I think most people know, like, we probably came from Africa and migrated from there to the rest of the world, right? Mm-hmm. Through, what is that? The little space between Alaska and Russia that you can walk across when it gets frozen in the winter. They've actually seen, like, they have evidence of people like crossing that part up there and getting into North America and coming to this side of the world. No, I don't know, all this crazy stuff. But if we're all just humans, people that, like I said last week, have just all been brainwashed differently. We all think different shit. But if the truth is that we're all the same, then it's fucking sad, all the things that are happening around the world. The way we treat each other because of the different beliefs. Mm-hmm. And here in the United States, we have like this big backing for Israel. And I just have a backing for people. Like, I understand it for what it is. Everybody's been fucking brainwashed wrong. If you really think about it, if you saw it the way I saw it, and everybody was like, dude, we're all the same, we need to like get our shit together, right? That would be a much better place. But instead, you have what's happening in the Middle East, and there's this video that I wanted to share, and it's a tough one. But
that's how we're going to end this?
No, it's a tough one, but yeah, you know what? It's not one that I want to do. I wish that I didn't have to react to this type of video. But I did feel some type of way when I watched it because of what the guy says in the video. And I'll read it. Definitely, you guys make sure you watch this part on YouTube or on Facebook. But yeah, let's get into it. Here it is. The video is on YouTube. It's called "Man in Gaza Holds Outside World Accountable as People Found Decomposing in Their Homes."
فيديو من قلب قطاع غزة. قوم اصحى أمانة تسمعني. قوم انتبه للكلام اللي
Get up and pay attention to what I'm saying.
قوم.
What I'm about to say, on the day of judgment, I will stand in front of God and you and tell God that I said this to you. Yesterday, in this town, people were found, children, families, decomposing in their houses. This is my house. Me and my children want to be sat in safety and security. They found people decomposing in their homes. An 11-year-old girl. She hasn't got anything to do with this war. She was an 11-year-old girl. They found her decomposing under her house. People were killed next to the aid. While you were sleeping, eating, and drinking, sleeping on a nice pillow and duvet, wake up, rise up. We have nothing left in us, you spies. I'm speaking you from the heart of the Gaza Strip. I'm speaking from a burnt spirit and a broken heart. People are calling for me saying, children tell me, yeah, get up and rise up. What is wrong with you staying quiet? Are you happy? What's happening to us? Are you happy about it? There's nothing left. Guys, I'm taking from the last bit. Where's the conscience of the Arabs? Where's the humanity? Or influencer or activist or journalist? Watch my video. Feel this feeling inside me. You are my family under the rubble. This is my last breath. On Judgment Day, tell God that you just stared at me, that you saw me speaking, crying, and screaming, that you didn't do anything for me, that you didn't offer anything for me. We want to help you. The uncle, the charities are collecting, but the people are dying. When we first watched this video, I told you this guy is the enemy. Right? Mm-hmm. Here in the US, like the wool has been pulled over our eyes. And it's coming off. There is a lot of people right now understanding that they're just people too. This isn't a fucking game of this team and that team. This guy has, like, you look at his face and you see the suffering that he's going through. I don't think he's a fucking terrorist. He doesn't, the 11-year-old girl that he found decomposing in a fucking house, like he said, had nothing to do with any of that shit. And if you see it like I see it, it's just sad. It's just sad. The brainwashing has to fucking stop. I don't even know what to say, to stuff like that. Because this is a perfect example of what I was talking about earlier. Right now, if you're listening to this, like we just watched that video and it takes you down this dark path for what's happening, right?
Yeah.
And you have to consciously be careful of how you're feeling. But at the same time, you cannot avoid this stuff because it is happening. Like, what do you think about this? A lot of people are very positive, and I get it. Like, you cannot just consume everything, right? Because you would be sad. But what happens if you don't consume this dude's video? What if you don't watch it?
So I sent that because after you and I watched that, I was
Yeah, please make
Like
sure you guys go
torn.
watch that.
After watching that. And so I sent a message to one of my friends. And I'm just like, this breaks my heart this morning as I'm sitting out with Miguel, listening to the birds chirping and watching the hummingbirds, enjoying life, being in the present moment with my beautiful husband and my surroundings. This is happening. I know you are aware. My question is, how do you not allow this to affect you? And his response is, life is messy. Marriage is messy. I deal with the messes directly in front of me. If everyone cleaned the property in front of their own homes, we would have a pretty clean world. If everyone had peace within themselves, we would have world peace. I am not trying to save is it Tootsie Fly? I don't know if he meant to put that, or the humpback whale. Mm-hmm. You need to answer that question for yourself. You are the only one who can. Wishing you the best.
Okay. So I'm supposed to sweep my sidewalk, right? And that guy is supposed to sweep up the decomposing bodies in his house? How the fuck is that fair? So you said it best. When we were watching that video, we were literally sitting in front of our house. I had just filled up the bird feeders. The fucking wind chimes are going. The hummingbirds are coming to the hummingbird feeder. It's like it's like paradise out there.
So what can we do? Where does it start? In this home.
Well,
right?
At least.
That's what he meant by you start here.
Here.
By
talking
leading.
To our kids. Mm-hmm. But there was also part of it that's like, there's nothing I can do. No, at least we can talk about it. Teach about it. Don't act like it's not happening.
Yeah.
Because it is. And when somebody comes to you with, well, look, I don't fucking care. There's innocent people dying on both sides.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit about the other people that are fucking forcing everybody to fight. The innocent people that have nothing to do with this are in the middle. You know?
And that's why you feel the way you feel about God. It's like,
well,
because.
Yeah. They show me. Where the fuck you at? Well, and that's the problem. He's coming. The signs are there. That is another thing that I wanted to mention.
But that's a religious point of view.
That is a very religious point of view.
Right. And that's where you have contained God.
And in a way, well, no, I haven't contained God in that, because God for me is not contained. God to me doesn't exist. So I haven't contained them in anything. Like there are.
But when you hear God, there are where you go.
Answerable questions. But I'm not gonna act like whatever. That is something that I can't even wrap my head around. Whether something created the beginning, whatever the fuck you even want to call that, right? But it's not what you're talking about, right? Like that is so much different than a guy that came down, was resurrected, or whatever any of the other stories that you make up. That's the thing, is that you can obviously tell that these are stories made up by people if you just read the stories, right? Because the universe God is literally uncomprehendable. You can't fucking put that in a book. You can't even understand that shit. Yeah. But one thing that I was going to say is that if this is, a lot of people feel like these are signs of what's coming. Like these things have been predicted in the Bible, right? One thing that I've also told you is that people have been around for tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of years or whatever. Not billions, like I said last podcast, like an idiot. But because we talk fast and we talk a lot, so sometimes shit comes out.
Right.
I was like, people have been around for billions of years. Like, shut up, dumbass. But people have been around for a long time. When you read the Bible, all the lessons that you get from the Bible could really be taught by living life over time. All the lessons that you get from the Bible, if you had enough societies to live life and people to gain experience, they would learn these lessons over time just through living life, through borrowing something from somebody else and then not getting it back, and then all these, all the things, right? So what if this is not Bible prophecy? Is there a chance that this is not Bible prophecy playing out? Is there a chance that all these things that are happening is not what is said in the Bible? And if it's not, then what are we watching? What is happening? Are we just watching senseless killing? Right? Thanks, babe.
Just letting you release.
Back to my notes. Let's see what else I got. What's up, yo? That's how you're going to end this podcast? You got nothing?
I'm letting you get your words in because earlier I was just,
What? You were what?
I took over the podcast earlier, so I thought I'd let all you, let you get all your stuff
No, it's because
out.
when we start talking about sad shit, you don't like talking.
I don't.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. You have to.
And I do with you.
Well, there was also
But it's like, I just don't know what to say about that. I am not religious, so I don't know what to tell you.
That's a good point. Well, you do have beliefs in things, right?
Yes.
And I also have beliefs in certain things. And sometimes this is one of those things like the bias versus advice versus, factual information. Like if you know something and there's things that are affecting people, say something. If people are talking and you're running across somebody that has a very one-track mind about, like, ask questions, question them. Because these things, a lot of times, they're uncomfortable.
Right.
They're uncomfortable to talk about. So nobody wants to say anything. But as I get older and as I learn more and my perspectives change on things, the less of a fuck I give about what people think about me or what I believe. Like, I give a fuck what anybody thinks about what I believe. They might think, everybody could be like, this motherfucker's crazy. Like, fuck you then. I don't care. But the world doesn't change by just keeping your mouth shut and we just do shit the way it is. Like, if you look at any big company, there's a lot of times that things start happening and nobody says shit.
Yeah.
Like, you start heading down a direction and nobody says shit. And then little by little, things start compounding, compiling, and affecting things. And then before you know it, shit's gotten out of hand. And a lot of times it's because nobody fucking said anything from the beginning. When people were saying stuff, or people with power would just tell you to shut up. And we're doing it this way. But when you got to say something.
That's what changed the world, or has changed the world. If Martin Luther King would have stayed quiet.
That's why Jesus got killed.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everybody's confused as fuck right now when I said that. They're like, what? Yeah. I really do. I believe like he's so misunderstood, man. So misunderstood by 99.9% of people.
Yeah. I was having that conversation
And he was killed
today.
over it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, till next time, make sure you guys go to our website, oppositesattractpodcast.com. Like I said before, share this with somebody else that you know. Follow our Clips channel. Shop on Amazon. Help us out.
All that good stuff. Thank you guys for your love. Thank you for your support. And thank you for watching Opposites Attract podcast.
Where we get better
together.
Bye.